Hello and welcome back to the Get Good at Business podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Proctor, and today I've got to tell you, I am pretty excited about today's podcast episode and topic because it is not one that I had on my radar. It was not one that I planned on discussing in the near future. In fact, I had something completely different planned that I will instead shift to next week that I'm super excited about. But today's topic has really come into the forefront because over the last couple days, I've had something happen. I had a post start to really take off and it got a lot of negative reactions. And I want to talk about that because I don't see a lot of experts, gurus, coaches, whoever. I don't see a lot of people out there talking about what to do and the mindset and kind of the aftertaste when you post a post and it doesn't go necessarily how you want it to. And here's the thing, I help coaches and small business owners really step into their authenticity and start to create in their business at whole new levels. In fact, I have a service called a Quantum Power Day where the name says it all. We work together to tap into your innate power and quantum leap your business forward, which means taking action without fear of judgment, retaliation, etc., and full force into moving into your business. One of the areas where a lot of people are afraid is in creating content, specifically video content. But a lot of the people that I work with, they have this fear coming into it about what they'll do if nobody comments on their content, what they'll do if it goes crazy and nobody likes it. Well, I'm here to share a story of just that, because here's the thing. And if you pay attention to my TikToks or any of my short form videos, I've been talking a lot about content creation and getting out of that fear of perfectionism, that fear of judgment, and that anxiety around creating your content. Well, this is the perfect example and story of why people are afraid and how to work through it so that if this happens to you, which if you are posting authentically, I guarantee that it will, that you know how to work through it and not let it stop you. So what happened? I created a post screenshotting that I had a 50% drop off after last week's episode, after my friend and on that episode co-host and interviewer, Brandy, said the F word. And so I did a post about it and I said, you know what, as business owners, this is me shorthanding, of course, but as business owners, we need to be able to look at the raw and the unfiltered truth. I'm not saying you have to say the F word, I'm not saying you have to swear to be successful in business or anything like that, but we need to be able to look at things how they actually are to be able to progress and move forward in our businesses. And it really became a call to action to step into your authenticity, because when you show your authenticity, everyone says, be authentic, people crave it, but then results may vary, right? And so it was my call to action saying, hey, there was an authentic moment of the story of how we came to the name of Get Good at Business. My friend in the story in real life, and as she was telling it, said the F word. I'm fine with that. I swear, I don't necessarily swear on this podcast, 543 episodes, and there's only been one F-bomb in all of those, and that was last week. But the point is that you need to step into your authenticity to really show up as you, warts and all, to be able to connect with your audience, but also to be able to make sound business decisions. The thought here was that when my friend told me, you know what, you're good at business, insert expletive in there. She said, you're good at business. And that really showed me that, yes, actually, I really am. And this is an opportune time to really shift and embrace that. But if I hadn't been willing to see that, I never would have been able to step into this new area. So the post was really about a call to action to step into your authenticity, be willing to see the things that you haven't been willing to see, and to follow along and let's do this. So I posted that. And on my own page, it went fine. I got my normal engagement, which was awesome, and some really good responses and things like that. Well, I posted it in a group of 30,000 business owners, all local to the state that I'm in, which is Utah. Now, if you know anything about Utah and USA, we have a pretty religious connotation. And so there's a lot of people who don't agree with swearing. You see where this is going. So I posted this post saying, you know what, I had this drop off after my friend, I didn't even say my friend, I said after the F-bomb was dropped, and here's the call to authenticity. Regardless of the swearing or whatever, like step into you and be willing to see your strengths and your weaknesses, but be willing to really step in and embrace your strengths and show up as you. That post got so misinterpreted. Suddenly it became a conversation about the morality of swearing. Now, I'm going to pause here for 1 second. So many of us, before we post content, are afraid of judgment. We're afraid of what people are going to think of us when we post and talk too much about our business, or when we post and we talk about something that's important to us, or maybe it's just a fact of things that you need to be talking about. But that fear of judgment, that perfectionism, that anxiety, like all of that wrapped in this nice little bow, come together and usually stop us from fully jumping in. We know we need to create content, so we probably just create it, we pull back, we soften it up. In this instance, I was like, no, I'm going to say, you've got to step into your authenticity. And if you're not willing to hear, essentially, if you're not willing to hear one swear word that was all about, in the context and framework of understanding your strengths and jumping in, and you're going to be jumping in and like you're blinding yourself to those things, what else are you blinding yourself to? Instead, open up, expand your horizons, embrace your strengths, and be authentic. It became, like I said, a discussion on morality of swearing. 170 comments later, it was the full gamut. There were people who were completely supportive and understanding and got the point of the post. There were people who did not. And there was a lot of people who called me unprofessional, lazy, and unintelligent. All because I had said I had dropped the first ever F-bomb was dropped on my podcast, and it was only said the one time. They obviously didn't listen to the episode, because then they would know that it wasn't even me that swore. But even so, my friend is also not unintelligent, lazy, or disrespectful, right? And it was really just what it was. So there's a couple of things I want to unpack with this. One, you're going to get judged no matter what. So as a business owner, and specifically if you're a coach, if you are pulling your punches when it comes to your content, you are watering down your authenticity and your personality, and you're not able to call to action your audience. Whether that's calling them to step into the next level of themselves, to step into the next levels of their business, or to step into working with you. And I knew this full well going in, that this could be a post that gets a lot of feedback. And that's what I'm going to call it. It's feedback. It's things that we're looking at and taking in as feedback. That doesn't mean it's a criticism on you. It doesn't mean it's a criticism on your business. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that it's feedback. So when you go to post, don't pull your punches, even if you're afraid that there's going to be judgment. And if it so happens that you get a lot of, I'm going to say flack for it, I want you to do a couple of things. One, if you feel so inclined, I want you to track the positive and the negative responses. 9 times out of 10, the positives are going to be much higher than the negatives, but because we're humans, we look at the negatives and we start to internalize those and we think they're so much bigger than they are. So look at the actual data and facts and see that actually you had a lot more support than you thought. 2, really watch your mindset. Really watch your mindset. Don't start to internalize what people are saying about you. And don't start to resent or be upset at your audience either. It's just straight their feedback of their perceptions. I had a lot of people comment on the post who were 100% behind me. They got it, they understood. Also, they were pro swearing. I had other people say, you know what, the fact that you said that you swore on this episode makes me want to listen to it even more, because it resonates with that audience. This is their tribe. Other people, like I said, they said that I was lazy, I was unintelligent, I was disrespectful. And I was even told that my business would not succeed because I was unprofessional, because there was a swear word in one of my podcasts. Now, hearing this, and as a listener, I'm sure you're sitting there going, this is not that big of a deal. And if you are thinking it's a big deal that there was a swear word in my podcast, you probably aren't watching this episode anyways because you dropped off after the last one. And that is completely fine. We're here to get raw. We're here to get real. We're here to get gritty. That means there might be some swear words dropping. And I will mark the episode as explicit if that is the case. My point is that when you start to resent your audience or internalize their feedback, you start to shift how you present yourself and how you show up, and it starts to get out of alignment. You're no longer aligned. You're no longer congruent because you're either retaliating against your audience because you've been resentful of them, because how dare they give you feedback like that, or you start to pull back your punches. You start to shift in a way of you need to be proper, you need to be polite. And I'm not very often one to do this, but I'm going to pull the woman card, right? There was a lot of feedback that I was like, is this because I swore as a woman? Because you see people out there like the Gary Vee, the Grant Cardones, the Andy Frizellas. You see these people who show up in a very assertive way, helping and coaching people, dropping the F-bomb every 5 seconds. And I really don't see their posts getting comments about being unprofessional and unsuccessful. So my point is, whether you're a man or a woman, don't internalize what's happening there. And the way to do that is to stop reading the comments, or as you read the comments, say a declaration to yourself and remind yourself who you actually are and what you stand for. For me, I kept on reminding myself that there were people who were supportive, and by me showing up in this way, it was allowing other business owners who were seeing this post to see showing up in your power. Showing up and speaking truth. And I'm not saying swearing is speaking truth, but what I'm saying is I gave a call to action to take off the blinders and step into your strengths and show up authentically. And a lot of people balked at that. The ones who didn't, that's my tribe, right? That's the crowd, that's the audience, that's the people that I want to be speaking to. And so we had a way to whittle out and weed out the people who would be on board and the people who are not. And the people who are not, that's fine. There's someone out there for everyone. And I had to keep on reminding myself that instead of getting locked in and caught in on people must think I'm unprofessional, people must think I'm unsuccessful, da 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 da. Now I want to say that I think a lot of my ability to do this has come in two parts. One, I had a post a few years ago that had 800 comments that also had a lot of thoughts and feedback in a negative way about me as a person. And it was because I posted a picture of a Lamborghini and asked, what would you think if you saw a female business owner pull up in a Lamborghini? 800 comments. And some of them negative and some of them very positive, and it ended up being about 51 and 49. 51% positive, 49% negative. But that experience with a simple, I think it was 11 words total post, caused so much variety that I realized I wasn't able to manage the expectations of how people perceive my content. I'm going to say that again. I was unable, and I am unable, you are unable to manage the expectations and the perceptions of how people see your content. Once it's out there, it is out there. And it is up to the world on how they're going to receive it. And the best thing you can do is put it out there in the way that's real and authentic to you instead of pulling your punches. So that was the step number one. That was the first, not even step. That was the first kind of touch base into this that really allowed me to see and prepare for this next level. The time before that is actually within my corporate career. So you may know that I had a client, Google, and my team and I responded on behalf of Google on all major social media platforms. Meaning that I had a team that responded as Google to Google's customers and clients, not in a customer service capacity, but in a brand love, relationship, advocacy building capacity on behalf of this behemoth brand. We had content, posts that got thousands, hundreds of thousands of reshares. We had content that got negative feedback and positive feedback. We had content that we helped the Google marketing team create when it came to working with influencers or creating content to speak on behalf of the brand outward instead of just responses. We helped in the full gamut, and we had some go really, really well. We had some get misinterpreted. So it was our job to be able to look at things with the lens of how could this be misinterpreted and how can I change it otherwise? Now that's not pulling your punches. That's finding a way to make sure that we didn't compromise the brand. That helped me support this because I knew when I posted this post, I wasn't compromising my brand. I was actually helping it. I was stepping into, I'm the kind of coach that's going to call you out. I'm the kind of coach that actually is based in action and results, not just let's talk through it and cross our fingers. I'm the kind of coach that doesn't work with you all day, break through all the mindsets and beliefs, and you leave with more homework than you came with, and then you're still not able to move forward in your business because you still don't know how to do the actual work. That's not me. That's not how I play. I encourage you to step into your authenticity. I encourage you to see your strengths, and I encourage you to take action to propel your business forward. So I knew that this is the kind of post that would do nothing but support the growth and building of my brand. So I was able to post it with confidence. When it went south, that's okay. It didn't really go south. I had a lot of positive. I attracted the right tribe and dispelled the other side, right? The wrong people from coming and listening and being a part of the tribe. But also, it was a real look at how do you let other people influence your creating of content? This did not slow me down. And I am telling you this story because, again, I don't think a lot of people talk about it. And I want you to be able to step into your side, right? Go forward without the judgment, knowing you're authentic, knowing that whatever you're posting is actually propelling your business and your brand forward. If and when you get negative reactions, do not take it personal. Look at the actual data and see that you are actually probably doing better than you think. And take a breather and don't let it influence how you create content going forward. And the last thing is the next piece of content that you create, you will have the butterflies in your stomach. I'm just being very honest with you. You're going to get those butterflies in your stomach. And when you get notifications that people have commented on your stuff, at least for a little while, you're going to get those butterflies in your stomach like, oh no, what are they telling me now? What are they calling me out on now? What are they saying to me now? What names are they calling me? What did I say that they're raging against? Those are not your people. Say it louder for the people in the back. Those are not your people. When you can show up and you are speaking in the language, you are speaking in the tone, you are speaking about the things that you care about, that you are passionate about, that you help your customers and clients in your business with. When you hold back, when you pull your punches, when you don't show up as much as you possibly can for you and your business, it is nearly impossible to grow and to scale. And I'm going to say it's the same thing for networking. So you may be like, you know what? I don't really do a lot of social media and content. I get a lot of my business through referrals and networking and going and meeting people. That's awesome. Imagine how many more people you could get and how many more referrals you would get by showing up as you in all of your realness. Now, that does not mean that you spew all your trauma and you tell everyone every single thing about you so that they can figure out if they like you or not. But it does mean showing up and being passionate about what you're passionate about. It does mean showing up and sharing that you are an expert and you're good at what you do. So the next time that you go to post or you go to network or whatever it may be, I want you to realize you probably have that fear of judgment and you might have those butterflies. But it is so much better for your business for you to push through and to not hold your punches. And so much better for your audience and your clients as well. Instead of just creating content for content's sake that gets nowhere. So that's my story. That's the topic for today, is really this understanding of you're going to feel those butterflies. You're going to be afraid of judgment. Push through it. Step into your authenticity. And when you get negative reactions, don't take it personal. Take a breath and actually look at the facts and understand that because you were so authentic in your posting, the words bounce right off of you and you're able to keep going. It's when you're not authentic in your posting that it hits even harder, because you're like, that's not even really me. And they didn't like it. What would they do if it was really me? You get what I'm saying? So that's today's episode. Very high level content creation based, but here we do talk about marketing. We do talk about leadership. We do talk about operations. We do talk about strategy. And today the strategy is be yourself. The marketing is don't pull your punches and keep going. The leadership is lead yourself through this and lead your audience, because the right people will find it. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening in. Tune in next week for an amazing episode that I'm really, really, really excited about. That has to do a lot with values, but not in the way that you think. So tune in next week. But in the meantime, remember, you can get good at business.